What's up, guys? This is the Microphone Madness podcast, hosted by Daniel Lewis. I'm Daniel Lewis, and today's hot topic of the week is 50 Cent, the rapper, and mainly his movie, Get Rich or Die Tryin, which is also a record that he made. And I thought I'd have like a prop set list. So this is one of the props today. 50 Cent Bulletproof, the video game on Xbox, a classic, right? No one has anything bad to say about this video game or how kind of, hey, it's pretty awesome. Fuck it. And then I walked into the studio because today's actually filmed by and in Radiate Studios. And guess what I saw? And I was like, well, this is gonna be pretty cool and interesting. I got 50 cents. Like the literal 50 cents. And I thought, you know what? This would be a nice set piece. So you got 50 Cent, as well as the video game
50 Cent.
Because when you talk about 50 Cent's movie, have you played the video game? And then he actually came out with another video game called 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, but we don't want to talk about that. It's kind of boring. So this is the introduction of the podcast and the topic of 50 Cent. You know, if you don't know who 50 Cent is, maybe you're too young, maybe you're like 5 years old or like 10 and you're like, I don't know who 50 Cent is. I don't know, he's not really that, I mean, he's relevant in a lot of things. He's very multi-talented. But we're gonna talk about 50 Cent, all right? Check out the game. Anyway, I just want to bring up, before we start the podcast, the sponsor of the podcast, which is Hawk Motorsports, and it's HWK, Hawk Motorsports. They were nice enough to give me and as well as my band Radiate all jackets for free that are actually, this is the one that I'm wearing today called the Brando jacket, which is like the vintage style. But I love them because, you know, during one of my birthdays, like my previous birthday, I got a gift card from Amazon and I was like, I want a nice leather jacket. And this is 100% genuine leather. And, you know, I asked them, I'm like, hey, like I do content, I make, I don't know, videos, and I'm making a podcast and, you know, stuff like that. And I was like, hey, you guys want to work together? Because I really actually stand by this brand. It's good quality, and the best thing about it is that it's affordable, you know, and they don't just make leather products or leather jackets. They make a bunch of different styles of leather jackets, as well as like more of like a canvasy tactical jackets that come in a lot of cool different colors and styles as well. They have gloves, and hey guys, honestly, if you're on a budget and you want a pretty awesome leather jacket, just check this brand out. Totally recommend it. And yeah, so that's part of the introduction. And we're going to talk about the good old 50. All right, guys, let's get into it. So we have the main topic of 50 Cent. You know, usually we talk about rock music or bands or, I don't know. I mean, this is a multi-freaking genre podcast, you know, and I thought, since this is a visual podcast now, broadcasting on YouTube, might as well talk about artists that is very visual, you know. I don't know many artists and rappers that come out with their own movies and video games, and they're all really entertaining. I think 50 Cent's movie, Get Rich or Die Tryin, is very entertaining. It's fun, you know, don't hate it. And that's kind of how I feel about the video game. I think it's entertaining, I think it's fun, and I don't hate it. But could the video game and the movie be better? Probably. But let's talk a little bit about who 50 Cent is. I'm happy I have a like picture of who 50 Cent is. I mean, I probably can like add it to the video somehow, but you know, here's like a little picture in a frame of 50 Cent, which just says video game. I know back in the day we used to not download our video games, everybody. We used to buy them at the store. So 50 Cent, he's a rapper from New York. I thought he was from Compton, but he's not, which is in California. But I'm pulling up my phone, and this is what it says on 50 Cent's Wikipedia page. Born in South Jamaica, Queens. Okay, that's very true. Also, so his name's Curtis Jackson. He wasn't born on the certificate. No, we're gonna write. His name's 50 Cent. His name's Curtis Jackson. Curtis Jackson, and I knew that before I read the Wikipedia, okay? It says actually on the poster of the 50 Cent movie, Get Rich or Die Tryin, Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent. I think because he doesn't want to be called 50 Cent as a rapper. I have to look up the other movies that he's been in since his first film, which I'm pretty sure is this film. He would rather be respected and called Curtis Jackson by his actual name, not his rapper name, Hey, makes sense, It says, Jackson begins selling drugs at the age of 12, 1990s crack epidemic. What? That happened in the movie? Sure, so I thought this was loosely based off his life, Get Rich or Die Tryin, which is actually his debut album in 2002, and then he came out with the movie in 2005, but 8 Mile came out in 2002. So I'm sure, because actually 8 Mile got a couple awards, the film, that they were like, yo, this is like I don't know when they started filming this, probably after the success of 8 Mile, so maybe 2003 or 2004. In 2004, like that era, 50 Cent, Eminem, and Dr. Dre were like the biggest rappers of the time. So he's most known for like In the Club or a Candy Shop. He released this mixtape called Guess Who's Back. He was discovered by Eminem and signed by Shady Records. So that's probably one of the most like rememberable things of 50 Cent in that era, because Eminem created his own record label called Shady Records at that time, and I guess he saw. I think he saw him in a show in Compton. Is that from what I can like recollect? I used to be actually a huge rap and 50 Cent fan 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, something around there. So I do have a relationship with the music, with the rapper. I'm not just talking about it because I think it's funny or anything like that, because he has a game and a movie and he's this and that. Nowadays, that's like kind of a thing, The only person I could think aside from 50 Cent and Eminem was Tupac, that was in Juice, So, I like that he was kind of one of the first rappers. I mean, you got Prince doing Purple Rain. Okay. But like for rap, for this era, for this kind of idea. I mean, he ended up getting Hustle and Flow around the same type of year, but fucking Terrence Howard isn't really a rapper. He just played the rapper, But it kind of created its own kind of genre of like music, drama, crime movie. That's what it says. Let's just see. So yeah, you got the whole Eminem signing 50 Cent with the help of Dr. Dre being like, hey, we're gonna make the beats. Eminem's gonna help and make the kind of co-produce in that sense. Put his input. They all work. That team is unstoppable. No wonder why 50 Cent was like one of the biggest rappers of the early 2000s. It says. He's also the leader of the East Coast group, which is a hip-hop group called G-Unit. He founded G-Unit Records. And I didn't know that. Maybe eventually he... Oh, okay. So what he did was he signed his friends, created his own record label. Hey, guys, as an independent artist, and even back in the day, they were even thinking like, you know what? Fuck being... signed into something that I might not 100% agree with. Let me create my own thing if I have my own money, because when it comes to like record labels, sometimes they're really like a bank. They're like, this is our investment. This is what we're gonna do. But since we give you the money, you have to we have to create something contractual to make sure that how we see a certain vision is the way it is. But by Eminem making his own record label, Shady Records, by 50 Cent making the record label G-Unit to sign all his friends. Well, not all his friends, but he got G-Buck, Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, Tony Yayo. It's Young Buck. These are the guys that you could actually be in the fucking video, or they're in the game. They're in the game. G-Unit's in it all the time. But you know what's weird? They didn't really mention I guess they kind of mentioned a G-Unity thing. How many guys were in G-Unit? 50. 1, 2, 3. 3 guys. Yeah. So in the movie, 50 Cent. I'm just gonna call him 50 Cent in the movie. I'm like, what do I call him? I think his name was Marcus in the movie, but we're gonna call him 50 Cent so we know what we're talking about. 50 Cent had his own crew in the movie, and I'm pretty sure they were probably loosely represented as part of G-Unit, but that was probably what he was trying to explain in the movie. Yeah, there's a lot of references to his life for sure. Movies in his Wikipedia. So it says, 50 Cent sold over 30 million albums worldwide, and several rewards. He's Grammy Award winning. Wow, it's pretty good, man. So he is a really important artist in our world. So that's another reason why I'm making this episode of the podcast. The other movies. So it says, the war film Home of the Brave, and a crime thriller film called Righteous Kills. That sounds familiar. Let me just click on that. Righteous Kills. Have I ever seen Righteous Kills? You have Al Pacino and De Niro? Hell yeah! So yeah. I think I've seen that movie. The best... He was part of the list of the best albums of the early 2000s. Great artist, great rapper. So, let's get into the movie, and my opinions. But aside from that, before I actually talk about that, the movie, which is actually the main segment of this podcast, is really just discussing the movie and how I feel about it. I did listen to Get Rich or Die Trying, the record, on my way driving here from to the studio from my house, and it's pretty dope. I understand why Eminem liked him and was like, yo, he has potential. Let's put him on Dre beats. Let me give him some sense of production and management and ideas, And like I said, that team was unstoppable. It was just a cool idea. And he is, to me, the early 2000s gangster rapper, And in this video game, he definitely does that. He is a gangster rapper in the game, and he causes violence. I thought the cool thing about the whole Get Rich or Die Trying title tie-in with the album and the movie was that was his monumental moment. Get Rich or Die Trying, the record. And, this is his first movie, as well as being an autobiography of his creating, who he was for the success of, how he got to the point to maybe even make that record. So I thought that was clever, and I liked that. Thought it was pretty cool, So let's get into it. There was a lot of things, I'm going to try to make this, pretty short and not go crazy on it. Get Rich or Die Trying, the awesome crime drama of the 2005. It was directed by a director called Jim Sheridan, and I haven't seen any movies that he's done, but he's, well known for dramas, or, rom-coms. That kind of stuff. But I think it was a pretty good match for this record. I think he maybe did some studying on it, or maybe because it was around the time of this aesthetic, it could have been easier for him to create some cool stuff. But there was a lot of cool moments that were beautifully shot, in my opinion. A lot of cool cinematography in this movie. So, seeing this as an adult now, I could appreciate that more. than when I was younger viewing this movie. I did like that, but whoever did the casting, terrible. It was pretty damn terrible. They did get Terrence Howard, which honestly was one of the best parts of this movie, having him be in it. And every scene with Terrence Howard was fucking awesome, in my opinion. I think he made me laugh when there was moments of the film that needed to have high tension or be serious. He delivered, especially in the beginning of the film where it's a heist. Not a heist, more like a robbery. And, it shows Terrence Howard, and the rest of his crew, as well as this, Albanian kid in the back seat. I'm like, what is he? I don't know. For, if you were, I've tried to, hyper pay attention to this, and I was like, what are they going to use him for? And literally it was smart. The first thing is they take the Albanian kid or whatever, Albanian, Italian, I don't know, some kind of exotic ethnicity, kind of like myself, as a deploy. Literally, he walks up with a Nathan's hot dog bag, being like, as in, I'm the delivery guy. They open the door, and they, literally throw him, and we're like, fire him, bank robbery, give me all the fucking money. And literally it was probably the worst place to go to get the money, because they walk in and they only see a bunch of dollar stacks, $5 stacks, maybe 50 cents. And they were like, where are the bigger bills? We know you guys have it. And Terrence Howard probably had it up to here at this point because he's been in jail for a while, which is later explained in the film. You have no idea what's going on aside from this cool scene. The one thing about this is, they do a lot of, leading up to, or a lot of foreshadowing, but Terrence Howard played the crazy dude in it, in this scene, the crazy, robbery guy, and basically, a lot of the acting in this, aside from Terrence Howard, was not very good or believable or just well done. 50 Cent is very melodramatic, that scene that I'm talking about, the introduction, Terrence Howard was literally going crazy, higher energy, very high tension, and then you had 50 Cent just being like, yo, stop, don't do that. And I'm like, is it supposed to be because 50 Cent's the leader of the robbery, and he's the leader of the crew, that he had to be a little more level-headed? Is that why he's so melodramatic? Because it would have been kind of cool if he was like, what the fuck are you doing? You stop! And they're both screaming at each other, and it's kind of believable to scare everybody in the room for the fucking robbery. But then I was like, okay, I'll accept that. That was kind of weird to view. But I then later realized that that's how he acts in the entire movie, because there was a lot of times where there was a lot of moments for him to maybe act a little better. And he was like, hey, there's one time he's sitting with a girl he likes. He's like, do you want to go on a date with me? Huh? Just like that. And it just comes off very comical, honestly, when you're older and you're trying to critique a fucking movie. And there's a lot of scenes that came off a little comical when it was supposed to be serious, or done in a way that you were supposed to be shocked, or I don't know, just to believe it's something that's serious. There's just one scene so at the time of his upcoming, being a rapper and going through his life, the rapper at the time that was big was this rapper called Dangerous. The rapper was his name was Dangerous, his rapper name. And there's one scene where there's two different audios. So when you're in a studio and you're in the booth, when you're in the rap booth, it's very isolated. You really can't hear anything. And on the other side, you hear the music, you hear everything that he hears into his headphones.
Around and watch them slugs, bitch your headpiece. We run these streets with murderers and gangsters meet. Black Skull, nigga. We pull the ice and go straight out your teeth. Up in the NYC.
I don't know if that was supposed to be funny. Maybe it was. I definitely took it as it's pretty fucking hilarious. And there's a lot of, decent amount of scenes where I'm the dialogue was either bad or, so bad that it was funny. And I feel like that's what made it fun. That's what made it not terrible. And a lot of the whole, drama, crime, gangster-esque plot to it really made me interested in wanting to watch this movie to its entirety. And a lot of, like, watch your back, even though, the people that are the closest to you could be your strongest enemy kind of philosophical ideology in this film when it came to drug lords and being that whole drug scene being really cutthroat over jealousy and power. And when you listen to actually 50 Cent's music, he's like, I kept the Glock on me because I was afraid of that. I was afraid of people being too jealous of me and too caught up in their own head of being crazy because they wanted the power taken away from me, because if I didn't have it, then they would feel like at least they could get to my level without me being around there. And I think that kind of idea with it kind of being like a gangster, like I said, drug lord kind of crime movie, if it wasn't 50 Cent and it was just kind of like that kind of movie, I still would have liked it. Honestly, 50 Cent didn't make the movie for me, it was just the fact of like how it was created, to the best of its abilities. From what I remember, people did like the film when it came out, got pretty good responses. Maybe not as good as 8 Mile, which got, I think, like Oscars and shit, from what I remember. I mean, it got, I know, like, one of the songs that he wrote for the film got a Grammy. I think that's what it was. I'm getting confused. But anyway, yeah, a lot of, like, loopholes in this that really didn't make sense, like a lot of time frames. I mean, like, after the beginning of the movie, which was that robbery scene, get shot 9 times, kind of like he died, then going to the beginning of his life with his mom looking like she's a sales associate at Bloomingdale's, but she's really a drug dealer, female drug dealer. So, I mean, I don't know if they were trying to just like lighten up the character, but it didn't make it seem believable that she was a drug dealer, especially when she like got out of her car to like claim her territory because this other guy was on her block and she started fighting with him. Just the way she looked and the way she was dressed and just how she carries herself doesn't really seem very I'm a drug dealer. It seemed very like I'm just a single mother. But maybe that's how it was. Maybe she just was a single mother that had to sell drugs, but I don't know. You kind of have to have this weird, like, tough attitude or just be a drug dealer, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that was a little, that took me out of it a little bit. There's a lot of things that, like, kind of took me out of it a bit at moments. And some of it, they kind of, like, put in there that didn't really need to, like, it really kind of, like, I was like, did they put this in there so it was, like, made 50 Cent look cool, and maybe 50 Cent thought it was cool. Just some stuff. I guess maybe they had to like make it longer, but none of the scenes were boring or stupid. Like they could have been a little stupid, I guess, but like in the fact of like it being a well done film, but it was amusing, it was entertaining, and if you take it as it is, you'll enjoy the film. So they have 50 Cent at the age of 11 and 12. Then you got the teenage 50 Cent. Then you got the early 20s 50 Cent, leading on to how he became the rapper and maybe the reason why he wrote the record Get Rich or Die Tryin. So, for what it was, some of it seems a little rushed. Literally when he's 12 years old trying to get his first gun for the first time because he wants a gun. There's no reason. He just kind of wants it. That's what he says. I mean, I guess it's pretty smart if you're going to be a 12-year-old drug dealer on the streets of New York City in the Bronx. You might as well have a gun. I think that's probably the reason why you want it, to protect yourself and not get robbed yourself. So one thing that I actually noticed, and this is just me, and I feel like there's a lot of things where I'm like, is this just me noticing these things? But as like an average movie watcher, movie viewer, you might not pick up on these things that somebody that watches movies or listens to music or just all sources of media to really look deeper into them will notice. But I feel like 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, as he likes to be called as an actor, like his performance got better You know, I think that, I don't know how long it took to film this, if it was a year or two, it seems something like around that time frame, but once he started to understand, like, I would say it had to be like an hour and a half in, the scene where, you know, after he got shot 9 times, it's the current time period of what they want this movie to be, because it's been so many time periods already. Now it's him becoming the rapper, whatever, getting out of the fucking jail and dealing, you know, living with his baby mama and, like, you know, raising a family. By the time we get to this part of the film, guys, his performance, I feel like when he got onto set and stuff, he's like, I've been doing so many scenes, I kind of get it. I kind of know, like, where to go, like, how to perform more authentically where it's not so, I don't know, it's like rusty. For that scene, I thought he did very, very well. Out of most of the movie, that was very just like, I feel like he was like high or something like that. I was like, yeah, I'm 50 Cent. Like, bullets will be shooting around him, explosions, and it'll be like, 50 Cent. I don't know. That's just kind of my example of, like, his melodramatic acting, some of it. So yeah, I think that they added like a mystery aspect to the film, which was who killed his mom. There was who was his dad, but we never really found that out. And then they actually did wrap up, like, at the end of it, like at the very, very end of the film, he's like, I was looking for my dad, but I realized maybe I was just looking for myself. And honestly, I think, like, that wasn't that bad of a thing to say at the end, because everything, the mystery, all of these things that he had to come to terms with at the end, having him say something like that kind of really wrapped up him being like, this is the next step of my life kind of thing. So I did like that, actually. But, you know, I mean, we don't know who his dad is. I don't think he knows who his dad is. But maybe, I like this one thing where it was like, when he was a kid and his mom died, and, you know, like, the drug crew came through, like, the drug lord, I guess, like, the person that she was working for, his name was Majestic, so he's, like, the higher level within the drug cartel or whatever it may be. Majestic was basically, like, the manager of all the sales associates, you know, of the block, of the area where they sold drugs at. So, you know, once, you know, 50 started drug dealing, he worked for him, you know, it was kind of like a family sort of thing. But he was the only father figure, the only male figure in his life that gave him some kind of direction or, like, helped him out when he kind of needed money and stuff like that, aside from his grandmother and his family. I don't really think having, like, a drug dealer named Majestic is very realistic, but, you know, people have nicknames, you know? People in crews have nicknames. It was just something, Majestic, it's just corny. Or like the rapper named Dangerous, like, who wrote this? I mean, unless 50 Cent was like, yeah, his name was something sort of like as corny as Majestic, and the rapper was kind of as corny, I don't know. Some of the names, Dangerous, Majestic, just weren't, kind of pulled me out again, you know, of the reality of this movie. Honestly, I some of it just really wasn't good. It was just really bland or melodramatic or shit like that. So it kind of like saved itself in that regard. I mean, they had like the big drug lord, which is this old guy, and he was like, you know, the actual drug lord, and then like Majestic was like maybe like just one of the managers of the sales associates, you know, so there was different tiers or whatever it may be. And he kind of reminded me of like Marlon Brando from The Godfather, kind of. Maybe it was just kind of like, I guess maybe they just wanted like a character like that. After that kind of stuff, like there was one scene where it was like, I mean, they had to like create the plot and the reason to why he went to jail. He's in the shower of jail, and then a bunch of butts come because it's like a bunch of dudes in the shower, and there's just like 4 butts on the screen, and I'm like, why do I need to see it like that? Like, and I said again, like the characters in this scene, like the other like jail mates or whatever, it just didn't look like I didn't like the casting for it. It just looked kind of like very 2005, I'll put it that way. But this is where you meet Terrence Howard's character. He saves 50 Cent from being stabbed and killed in the shower. And then, you know, it cuts to another scene. It's like this part is very choppy and very like, how long did this all take? Another scene where like, now 50 Cent's making rap music in jail, but I'm like, who made the beats? Like, how's he getting the beats in the recordings? And how's it sound like pretty decent? So, like, that was kind of, like, far-fetched, but then, you know, like, that kind of gave him the reason of being, like, Terrence Howard's character be like, I want to be your manager, you know? And that kind of, it's kind of trying to make its full circle now with, you know, them coming out of jail, them, Terrence Howard character being like, I'm going to be your manager. And then, honestly, I was like, every scene with Terrence Howard is just so good. He knows how to play suspenseful when it needs to be suspenseful, serious when it needs to be serious, sad or emotional when it needs to be sad or emotional, which he wasn't in any sad or emotional parts, but he's just a great actor, you know, and I think he really, like, made this film. Yeah, so Terrence Howard is great, guys. There's this one scene where, you know, they got out, but one of his friends is like, yo, I'm going to go hang out with 50 Cent right now. I'm not going to hang out with you, Majestic. And he's like, all right. And, like, one of Majestic's crew guys is in the back seat of Terrence Howard's car, you know, the manager of 50 Cent, right when they got out of jail. And he's like, yo, why are you, like, moving too much? Why are you fidgeting? Like, yo, people do that kind of shit. They usually got a gun. They're going to take it out and they're going to kill you. You know, like, I don't trust you.
It's like, man, a motherfucker fidgeting in your car. You shoot first and you ask questions later.
Shoot?
You shoot first and you ask questions later.
You just met him.
He fidgeting, man. I'm right about him. I'm always right. It's like when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I could have been right. So I'm still right because I could have been wrong.
That makes sense. Come on. Say that again.
When I'm wrong, I could have been right. So I'm still right because I could have been wrong, you know. And I'm sorry because I could be wrong right now. I could be wrong right now. But
It's good. I don't know if that was written or Terrence Howard fucking just, like, made that. I thought that was kind of funny. All right, so comes back to, you know, instead of he getting shot in the head after 9 times, that scene, but instead of that happening, he gets shot in the jaw, you know, and later goes on, he has this, like, weird, like, kind of, like, Rocky montage for 3 seconds. When something is bad, I feel like, in this film, or, like, it doesn't, like, do it for me, it only lasts, like, 5 or 10 seconds. Like, they had a sex scene in this movie, and I'm just kind of like, you went so long not having a sex scene, where you could have put the sex scene in so many places, but you just put it in this one spot where I'm like, okay, here's your sex scene, and it lasts only 5 or 10 seconds. Or, like, 10 or 15 seconds. But it's kind of funny because it kind of looks like a collage or something, like it, like, fades in and out and shit. But, like, it doesn't, it's not done well. So it kind of just seems like he had sex for 15 seconds. That's just how I felt about that. All right, so let's get to the ending real quick. Majestic, so 50 Cent's like, fuck this, I'm gonna make a performance, coming back after jail with my manager, all that stuff. But the whole town from where he's from, where Majestic works, and the whole drugs cartel is, whatever, is located in the same place as the venue, and that causes controversy. So Majestic doesn't want 50 Cent to perform there, embarrass him, talk shit about him, all that stuff. On top of him, like, even making all those, like, records about fucking, like that one record to diss Majestic. So I don't know. Anyways, like, come outside, take a picture with me. Come on. I love you, man. And then he, like, recites the rules that Majestic had made for him when he was a child. He's like, Rule 5, never trust anybody that says they love you, or something like that. I don't know. It's way cooler. I don't know. Then the line is much more effective because it's like an actual rule in their, you know, drug dealing part of rule book. So this is where I thought this scene was kind of stupid, because they throw hands, they get in a fight, no one seems to get their gun out, or there's no gun violence, all right? Then, because basically 50's like, I'm gonna go out on stage, fuck you, I'm gonna do what I want to do, right? And then, so I just feel like Majestic, since he was on top the most, where was his security guards? Like, where was his security when he got, like, how did 50 Cent able to get, like, fight with him like that? He was getting choked out for, like, I don't know. Like, he was on the ground getting choked out for, like, a good 5 seconds, 7 seconds. There was not one bodyguard, you're gonna tell me, that Majestic didn't have to, like, pull, like, all of them to get, like, go crazy because he was the main man. I'm just so surprised as, like, a drug lord that you don't have that amount of security, right? So he gets his ass kicked by 50 Cent. He's like, yeah, fuck you. And then, like, and, like, walks away or whatever, goes try to walk on stage, and then Majestic's like all crippled, bloody, like he does this, his hands are bleeding, he's like, I loved you, and like honestly it's bullshit. He's just trying to manipulate him, trying to like make him feel guilty, and like, you know, it's just a trap kind of thing. And he's like, you know what, he's not gonna listen to me. And this is Majestic takes out his cane knife, starts running towards him, and then fucking Terrence Howard's like, nope, shoots him in the leg a couple times or something. He's like, ah, and then he's like, I kind of like the respect of, or maybe Terrence had his back. He's walking away, and Terrence Howard stays, and he just continues to shoot him and kill him, you know, killed Majestic. And I thought that was kind of gangster too. Like, I was more gangster because he was like, yo, you don't let your fucking manager shoot me. I want to die from you. And he didn't want to give him that. He didn't want to see him in the eye as he died, you know? That's why I'm trying to justify this. I'm trying to, like, say that, like, maybe that's how that scene played out. Or maybe it was just the way they did it made it seem that way, and it wasn't really as clever as I'm thinking it is. Because that's just how I took it. But it wasn't a bad scene, you know, the fact that he didn't shoot him, and he like went on stage, and he was like, right before he went on stage, saying that stuff about, you know, how he found himself when he was looking for his father, kind of thing, like a whole resolution kind of speech or whatever it may be. And then he went on stage and he performs. It's a pretty okay film, you know. I don't hate it, I don't love it. If I had to give it a rating, it would probably be like, because a lot of things made up for it, you know, and I kind of accepted it as it is, you know. But like I said in the beginning, like, some of the cinematography was pretty cool. Like, some of the shots were pretty cool. I still give it like a 6 out of 10. You know, it's kind of like low, but like, you know, like even like on a bad day, 5 out of 10. You know, it's kind of in the middle ground of like being a piece of shit and not. You know, happy it wasn't as worse as it was. It's kind of a retrospect because honestly, last time I saw it was probably 10 years ago, and then I was like, that's what kind of made me intrigued by it. I was like, huh, was that movie as good as I remember it was? And it's not as good as I remember. No, because when I was younger, you know, you don't look deeper into it. Like, you know, I mean, his mustache looked one way in one shot, and then his mustache looked another in another shot. Stuff like that just kind of made me feel like, all right, I'm starting to notice a lot more than I used to. But maybe I was just so caught up in the scene and the action and the moment. And as a child, you kind of are with, like, you're very quick to not really think about it and just like see it as it is kind of thing. So yeah, you know, 5 out of 10 kind of thing. Don't hate it, don't love it. But anyway, my name is Daniel Lewis. Thank you for listening and viewing, actually, to the Microphone Madness podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Daniel Lewis Music, DANIELOUIS Music. You can find me on Spotify as well. You can listen to my band if you're interested. We're called Radiate, as well as other band called Internet Tears. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. Check out some of the other episodes if this is something that you like. All accessible on Spotify and YouTube. And thank you again, Hawk Motorsports, for the endorsement. And you guys have a wonderful rest of the night, guys. Thank you for viewing, and subscribe.